Hello and Happy New Year. This is the podcast where we have a coffee with the world's most interesting writers to inspire your reading and your writing. And it's all crafted and curated by me, Liam Bishop. Happy New Year as well, of course. And we're all slowly getting back into the swing of things. What I thought I'd provide you with unedited bonus content from the conversation that we had in December last year, which was the Christmas and New Year special with Madeleine Dunnigan and Farah Ali. And what you're going to hear now is Madeleine and Farah talking more about the books that they suggested that I read as part of our craft and curation special. Madeleine Dunnigan's book Jean will be published by Daunt Publishing this month, and Farah Ali's Telegraphy will be published by CB Editions. And then come back in a couple of weeks and we'll be having a coffee with another one of the world's most interesting writers. Welcome back to the Ripping Pages. We're here with Farah Ali and Madeleine Dunnigan talking about their novels and some novels that they recommended to me. And I'm going to talk about those right now. So, John McGurn, That They May Face the Rising Sun. Madeleine, you recommended to me that I read that book. Why did you recommend that?
I just think it's one of the most beautiful books ever written. It's an incredibly slow, thoughtful, and poised novel. It's the last novel that John McGahern wrote. It's set in County Leitrim, and it's a couple who have moved into a house there and taken over the farm and set over a year. So something that I love about this novel is the way it handles time and the way it handles human relations, and both of those are evoked through patterning. So you will see there's a lot of repetition in the novel. It's not self-conscious, it's not drawn to it. There are whole conversations that are repeated in the way that that happens in life. You know, the kind of the play and the role play of conversations. Every time main characters pass the lake, a heron rises from it. There's descriptions of the house in the same way, and I found that actually completely revolutionary in that, you know, sitting at my desk and trying to think of like another way to say the sky is blue or the window is big, and actually the power of repetition and the beauty of it. And that is not to say that any of the prose is prosaic or mundane. I'm really, really drawn. I basically love books that describe nature or the sky in a particular way, but also it is very funny and it's very moving the way characters interact and talk and the patter of conversation over seasons.
Yeah, I love that, and I loved it. Thank you for those reasons that you just said. And I never read John McGahern before, and the herons just flying across the lake, and I didn't know if it was signaling something or it was just literally that's the environment and that's what happens. I also love herons. I walk down the canal near me and I see the heron, and there's one on campus as well, which is very nice. And there's a point in the book, and talking about families and what changes or what might not change in relationships. Um, there's a point where it's between the Shah, which is this very sort of mercurial, sinister sort of character, and Rutledge, and the dialogue's fantastic, isn't it? As you said, there's really funny moments, but it's also one of those novels where the dialogue is what's not said reveals as much as what is said. And there's just a part where they're discussing a few days after Christmas, so you know we're tying into a theme. The Shah talking about some photos taken of the street, and he said there's this it's like old photographs of where they used to live, and he remarks how things have changed quite a lot, you know, from the past. And it says changes. The Shah remarked stonily, and then Rutledge echoed, "Nothing but change." And it was in that moment where I was like, "There's this brilliant sense of how the world does change, but also how it doesn't change." And for your novel, they're in your novel, there are these moments where Jean, they go to the forest quite a lot, or he'll jump in the pool, and the landscape has this quite, I wouldn't say it's not transformative, but it has quite a mythical, symbolic quality to it. Was there anything that came from John McGahern in doing that, or was it just something that suffused you, perhaps unconsciously?
I so wish my writing was like John McGahern's. I read it quite late in my drafting process. I was lent it by my boyfriend's mother. Um, definitely when I read it, I was like, yes, this is part, there are things in this that I am aspiring to. And I think what I aspire to is maybe, a holistic relationship between characters and the world in that the environment in which they're situated is a character in and of itself. Or it's very much it holds them, and like fabric, it is textured and like needs to be given life to. I also think, yeah, in my book there's a lot of, I remember my mum read it and she was like, yeah, I got a bit confused about when they were at the lake because they're just always at the lake. So you probably couldn't like you get a kind of like scrambled sense of a timeline maybe because
Yeah,
it is
yeah, yeah.
always hot and it is always at the lake, and the flies are always buzzing and the butterflies are always floating around and they're always stoned. So it's this kind of like hazy world. But there's definitely something I would love to do that John McGahern does that I don't think I could say I've achieved, but these minute shifts in the landscape, but this sense of groundingness in the book
Mm,
because of that. And I think Virginia Woolf does it very well as well in all of her novels, and in particularly The Years. Every
yeah.
chapter opens with just a description of the sky or just a description of landscape. And I suppose that is a very powerful anchor for
Mm.
for us and for characters.
Yeah, and it was though sometimes I got a sense of the characters in they had nothing else to do really but watch. There's not loads going on, in County like Leitrim. So there's what else is to do but watch the landscape, but also what are these shifts telling us?
Well,
And it
but they
well,
also they exist with the land. So they're,
mm,
the again, this is very close to John McGahern's own life. He did move to rural country Leitrim with his partner, his wife. And he was a writer, but he's also a farmer in the book. Pace of life is dictated by the land in a
yeah.
very different way. So yeah, there are periods when there isn't anything to do, and then there are periods of like great activity because you've got to make hay while the sun is shining, literally.
Yeah. And for you, Farah, I mean, I'm not trying to pin these, I'm not trying to create a theme here, but yours is a novel that, well, you recommended to me, Gerald Manane, The Plains, and that is a novel that's full of descriptions of the plains, the scenery. Can you explain why you recommended this to me?
Well, so I got the novel because I read about it somewhere. I read what the last line of the novel is. And it seemed so fantastic and bizarre. Um, this documentarian or photographer who turns the lens of the camera onto himself. And then I got the book, and it was this crazy experience of reading it. It this mad landscape. It's not mad because nothing happens, but it's just it's like Maddie, I can't wait to read this book that you recommended. It seems like I know I would love it somehow. And in the plains, the main character, he goes into this place in Australia, and he wants to record the lives of the plainsmen or their landscapes, but it's always about landscape, and it's there's no definition of what's happening really. There's no before and after. There's no, oh, at this point onwards people started behaving like this. They're just, you enter this bizarro situation right away, right off the bat. You just have to understand, okay, this is how things are in this land, in this place. um and yeah, there's like minute descriptions of obsession with placing the camera and where he's going. And that's the reason I asked, uh, Liam, that maybe he could read that. But I remember reading Tom McCarthy's Remainder a few years ago, and it also obsessively talks about how this main character who has this crazy accident and he can't remember, then he's paid out like a lot of money by the corporation, and he uses all of it to hire actors and camera people and everything just to enact the moment when it happened. And the book has a lot of repetition in it,
Mm.
but it's just massively deeply obsessive. So I love it when that's all the book is about, you know, something completely
Yeah,
obsessive, just a world of itself.
yeah. These sceneries that and Remained is an interesting one because it's about these scenes where, you know, does the repetition reveal anything? Do we ever find anything? Is there something, you know, that sense of reality? What is reality, and what is beneath the surface of? And there's a line, I think. There's a line from Renane, but one of what he says, he describes himself as the main character. I am equipped to film this landscape and reveal it to others. And I don't know if he ever does, really. I don't know if he has can, or don't know if he has the possibilities of doing so.
Yeah, but it's exactly what you said, Liam. It's that obsession of finding what's behind the thing.
Mm.
What is like constantly scraping away at like some crazy itch, you know, which you can, you know, not really get rid of. Just like this, almost possessed by the thought of like, yeah.
I guess my final question then for you both is, what do these two books then for you say about you as a writer? Madeline is wincing at that one.
I think they say that I'm new, you know, it's my first one. So I'm a new writer. No, as me as a writer, I don't know. I think I'm still figuring out who I am as a writer.
And that's completely fine.
I'm sorry not
No,
to.
I like it. I apologize for trying to make a big boss in, but I think that's really important for new. You know, I think that all writers are doing that. I speak to a lot of writers, and they are all still doing that, figuring out who they are
Yeah.
and where they're going and what they're doing with, you know, whether the Booker Prize listed or not. So I think that's a really important message for anyone that is listening. And how about you, Farah?
What does this book say about me? I don't really know. I think in this book I let myself talk about things that I am deeply always interested in, visions and illnesses and bodies and unwellness, you know, general fun stuff like that.